Well, what's up, everybody? Bishop Chris Johnson here, or AKA The Greatness Coach, bringing you another episode of the Pastor Plus podcast. And I'm so excited today that I get to bring in yet another guest who is embodying what I believe to be the Pastor Plus concept. Someone who's making a huge and significant impact in their own space, but then also someone who I feel like is doing it in a positive way, who loves the Lord, who God has called to do some significant things. And so today, this next guest is a friend and he's a brother, and I love what he's doing in his city. I want you to help me welcome to the Pastor Plus podcast, Mr. Tys Garth. Ty, what's up, my brother? It's so good to have you, man.
What's going on? What's going on, man? So glad to be here, man. You know how I think you the dopest, so I appreciate you giving me the invite, man.
Well, look, man, it's so good to see you, man. We go back a long way, but for some people who may not know who you are, can you just kind of give us a little background of who you are and where you're at and what you're doing now?
All right. I'm Tys Garth, co-founder of Ollie Life Youth Program here in Nashville. We've been working with young boys ages 12 to 18 for like 11 years now. This is going on our 11th season, doing things in the Nashville community. We have partnerships with the juvenile Metro Nashville schools. We put on community events, like back to school, turkey drives, toy drives. We have an annual kickball event where we raise money and we give out scholarships to two deserving first generations students, and the point of doing the things that we do is to give back. Ollie stands for Only Living Life in Excellence, and that's what we try to instill in the youth that we service in our program.
Man, that's so powerful, man. There's so many different ways we can go with kind of talking about your program and you as a person, individual. But I'm interested to know, what was the inspiration behind starting this youth program, providing this service to your community? What was it? Just one day you just woke up and said, "Hey, I'm going to do something," or how did it all get started?
Man, it's funny because the name Ollie derives from skateboard. So I was a fan of skateboard growing up, but growing up in my neighborhood, black kids, we didn't skateboard. But when I used to go spend the night over my friend's house, the white friends that I had, we used to skateboard and everything. So I've always been a fan of skateboarding, but people don't understand, that's an individual sport. So you got to put a little extra work in to be great, as a skateboarder. You're going to have those falls. You don't get up. You don't get those bumps and bruises. So I started off as a skate team. We had 10 kids, and we had Team Ollie, and I would put them in skate competitions throughout the city and in other cities. Actually, my first big event was we did skate wars in California. So I sponsored, Ollie sponsored like maybe 25, 30 kids out there in California. But it got to the point where the parents, when we used to have like practice or sessions, the parents was like, such and such can't, he can't come today because he had a bad day at school. You need to talk to him. So me and my co-founder, Dred, shout out to Dred, we was like, man, this is something bigger than what we're thinking, bro. So after that first season of, just going to these skate tournaments, we went back to the drawing board. Wow. We created a curriculum to go with this program that we was going to do to service the community, which transitioned them from middle age all the way up to college, which, starting at the middle school age is very important because that's when they're more impressionable. So we want to catch them around that age so that when they head to high school, they already got the tools necessary for them to make it through without being influenced with all the negativity that goes along with, growing up and, during high school age. So that's how it started, man. It's funny because everybody like, yo, you skateboard? Well, I used to when I was little. The last time I got on the skateboard, I fractured my wrist, and I said I'll never get on it again. So.
That's an interesting story because I never saw that coming. I'm thinking something totally different. I never thought I would hear you say it started with skateboarding. And it's amazing to me how sports and, things like extracurricular activities can have such a significant impact on these young men's lives. I know I've seen it with football. And before long, you start to realize, okay, what I thought was football is actually lessons in life. What are some carryovers that you've seen between, the sport, the skateboarding, the event, and things you may be teaching in there that's actually lessons in life?
Well, again, like I said, it's one of those things. That's an individual sport. You don't have a team behind you to push you, so you gotta be self motivated. You have
Mm,
to own it for yourself, and that's life. That's life. Like if you want to be the best student, you can't depend on somebody else to make sure to help you become the best student. You gotta want that for yourself. So you can be pushed by whoever, but if you don't have that energy to be the best,
yeah.
I can't want it more than you want it. So
Mm,
you have to go out and get it, and study, extra studying, go to study halls, talk to the teacher about extra credit, just different things like that. So the lessons that you receive from being a skateboarder is you have to put in the work. You have to be successful, to be excellent in whatever it is that you want to do. You have to put in that work,
wow.
So
That's these are those principles that I believe every man should have just kind of ingrained in them from an early age. I know doing what I do, I wrote a book called Man Made Men, and I also run a program called Man Maker Academy. And what I have seen over the past couple of years is this issue of fatherlessness, um, guys growing up who don't have dads or male figures in their lives. Um, so what has been your experience? Do you see that being a problem? Do you see, young men growing up without fathers, needing that male influence? Is that something you experience there in your community?
yeah, for sure. Even me coming from a single parent home, not having my father in my life, I'm able to relate to these young men and what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, every day it's a different struggle,
Mm.
and it all stems back to not having that male figure in your home, that positive male figure in your home. Because some of them may have men in their home, but they're grown boys. Like
Yeah.
they're not influencing you in a positive way.
Grown
They
boys.
encouraging the negativity that you're dealing with outside of the home.
Mm.
And they all come from these environments where it's the low income environments, the struggle, the gangs, the drugs, everything that they see every day. That's trauma. So
Wow.
as an educator and someone who's always at schools, I'm not gonna be too quick to condemn a young man for his behavior without getting to the root of the problem. Because that kid might not have slept all last night. He could have lost somebody during the time he left yesterday. He might not have had breakfast. So it's a lot of things that go on. So when you in a role as a mentor or educator, somebody just who has influence, we got to be mindful that the trauma that these young men and women that they deal with, it stems from the lack of that teaching,
Mm.
that guidance that you would need. Some of these young boys, the way they talk and how they, you know, dress and carry themselves, ain't no man, a real man in the home,
Wow.
because they're
Wow.
not, you know, all the sagging and the disrespectful
Yeah.
language. Man, come on, that's not what makes you a man. That don't make you tough either. And that's what they get confused. They get confused by the music, the environment, and just the negativity that's around them. That's all they see. So we try to expose them to other things. That's why we do these events. That's why when we have speaking engagement, we love to bring young men around. When we passing out turkeys, we want them to be involved, because you don't have to be a rapper, an athlete,
Come on.
nobody with a lot of money to give back to your community.
Come
There's
on.
nothing wrong with just growing up and being a nice person, man, being a good kid, because that's God designed us to be good people, great people. So let's try to live that way. They just don't have the guidance in the home.
Man, I've always wanted to ask someone this question, and I think, these answers can vary. I grew up with a father in my house, like you just contrasted that. I have wonderful man in our home who taught my brother and I valuable lessons about being a man. You just said you grew up in a single parent home, and this is a real question. What do you feel like, without your dad being there like you wanted him to, or not being present, what did you miss? Like, what do you feel like as an adult man now? I wish I'd had that.
Man, look, those moments, those birthdays, those holidays, just being around, just basketball. I play basketball. Having my, a father present at a game. Making the big shot, but you're not there to see that.
Wow, man.
It was said, from my family members, he always, he got his game from me. How do I know that? I haven't seen you play. So you haven't seen me play. I haven't seen you play. So it goes and it's crazy because the time that we reconnected and I was able to speak with him, the first thing I told him, I said, man, thank you for making me the greatest father in the world.
Wow.
And he said, what do you mean? I said, because all those birthdays that you miss, Christmas, different holidays, all those, special moments, my son would never have to go through that.
Wow.
And he was shocked. He was like, man, but you got to feel that because you influenced me more than what you know. Even when you was absent and not being a part of my life. You showed me what my son would never have to go through. He would never have to go. I'll try to make, Chris, I tell you, I try to make I don't care if it's in Timbuktu.
Yeah.
Whatever my son has going on, I'm going to be there. Like, that's being a father, sacrificing sleep, time, whatever it is for your child. So, that's the stuff, man. Just missing those moments.
The presence, man. Yeah. Most guys think it's all about the provision, but what I've come to discover is kids don't care about what bills you're paying. They don't see it. They don't see the bill. They want to know that you're there. I mean, right. like you said, man, you're playing ball, and I call it in my book, I call it affirmation. I think that the earliest thing that boys need from men is affirmation. It's looking up in the stands and seeing a man up there saying, you're doing a good job, or great shot, or get up, try it again. We need to be affirmed. And listening to you talk about what was missing in your life and what you felt like you could have benefited from, it's definitely consistent with that thought. I think how much of that, and I'll ask you this, how much of this father's being absent, not having a male figure, a role model, in that young boy's life is attributing to, this image that we see. We're about to get in trouble. I'm about to get in trouble right now. This image that we see of young boys, guys walking around in skirts and dresses, guys, these entertainers doing all kinds of crazy things, man, and distorting the image of manhood. How much of that do you think is probably having to do with some absence there?
Oh, a whole lot. Like 100%. Like, check this out. I always say, you either you either raise your kids, or the streets is gonna raise them, or some entertainer on television who they're influenced by. So we just saw a couple of weeks ago Russell Westbrook with the skirt on, dribbling basketball.
Yeah.
Now, who's gonna say that that's okay? The world will. The world might say, okay, right, that's okay.
Right.
He's expressing himself. A young, impressionable child, who doesn't have a father figure to be like, yo, son, he's your favorite player, not anymore. That's not. You don't do that.
Right.
What stake is he making? But if you don't have that in a man in your life, or someone to tell you like, nah, that's not it, you gonna go right through that and do the same thing. But the difference is Westbrook go to a multi-million-dollar home.
Yes.
Celebrity.
Yes.
You're growing up in this low-income community where you're gonna get ridiculed and bullied
Mm-hmm.
and deal with so much trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Westbrook's not gonna help you when you going through those situations and issues at hand. So no, man need to be like, why have children? Why lay down to do that if you know you're not gonna be in that life?
Wow. Wow.
You know, so yes, everything gets. These kids are influenced by music, movies, even like our athletes. I get disappointed at some of our athletes. Listen, I could go on how it makes me upset.
Yeah.
Like, even our athletes are, some of them, not all of them, some of them are like, you're distorting the reality of a kid who looks up to you and think you're the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
So, I mean, I just need to be mindful of what they doing and saying.
Man, I get myself in trouble talking about this manhood thing because, you know, one of the chapters in my book, we talk about what is masculinity, what is being a man. And these are some hard questions for some people. Obviously, there is no, I don't think there's a billboard sign that says, okay, if you're going to be a man, this is what a man looks like, you know. But I do believe that there are some attributes of a man. I do believe there are some attitudes of a man. I do believe that every man should have some absolutes. Like, these are things that I talk about in our program because I believe we should build models. And kids are going to reach out for models. Like you just said, they're going to look out for models, even if it's Westbrook or even if it's the Lil Nas. Even if they're going to look out for models, these young kids coming up, whether we agree to it or not. So if we're not providing healthy models, if we're not showing them, okay, here's what it's supposed to be. Dave Chappelle's under attack right now because of some of the things he said in his comedy special. You know, you hadn't seen it, but he's talking about, you know, just the unfair, I guess, forcing of some trying to make. I, for one, am offended when someone tries to make me water down manhood. I get offended. You're not going to make me redefine what I believe a man is. And I don't, you know, I'm not trying to make somebody else feel it the same way I feel it. But in your opinion, what are some of those attributes of a man? What are some of the things you teach your kids in your program? Guys, here's what men do.
The first thing we say, like, we be all the way real with them. We tell them, just because you have a penis don't make you a man.
Come on. You
know, there's a lot of grown boys out here, you know, that just running around. Like, me being a man is like taking care of like your family, your children, doing what's necessary for other people, being a blessing to someone other than yourself. You know, that's for me, and that's family. You know, my circle of people.
Yeah.
That's what is important to me. That's what I feel like makes me a great man. First and foremost is the fact that I believe in God, and everything that he said he was going to do, he's done.
Yeah.
My life. So at this point, I don't fear anything because my faith is bigger than my fears. And I don't have any fears because you can't have both. So let me say that. So with our kids, so we tell them, like, you're not a man because you can go out and you can beat up somebody. That doesn't make you a man.
Mm-mm.
You can go out, or, you know, all of this stuff that you see on TV that you think makes you a man, joining these gangs, being able to shoot and kill somebody. You know, that stuff don't make you a man. That makes you a coward.
Come on.
You know.
Come on.
Like I said, being able to take care of your family, sacrificing who you are to pull an attribute out of somebody that they didn't know that they had.
Yeah.
So that they can be beneficial not only to themselves but to other people around them. That's what being a mentor and a man. Mentor starts MEN. That's a man. That's what makes you a man. When
Mm.
you're doing things to help others, you know, and I give myself when I'm gone, what is I want to be empty.
Come on, man.
I
Yeah.
want to be empty. I want to leave it all here. You understand? Like, hold on, let me get this light, man. Can I do that? Let me get. Can you
Oh
see
yeah,
me?
go ahead. But anybody who's just tuning in with this, I'm sitting here with Ty Garth, and we're talking about his program, the Ollie Life program, and then also I do a program called Man Maker Academy, and we're both just kind of talking about our beliefs and our convictions as it relates to manhood. But Ty, you were in the middle of a thought. We'll keep going with it.
So I'm just saying, like, don't get confused with or conflicted with things you see on TV or what you you hear in this music and everything. Don't get me wrong. I listen to rap, I love it. R&B, I love it. All genres. I'm not saying that you know. I'm not trying to critique any artist
Yeah,
or any actor or athlete or anything like that. You know, like I said, just be mindful of the things that you put out. But as far as being a man, you know, like you said, you have those absolute, and I absolutely have to make sure that my son is taken care of,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that I look out for, you know, those that are near and dear to my heart, and
Yes.
that's first. I take care of home first before I go take care of the community.
Yeah,
And I love both, but I don't, you know, but as a man, I gotta make sure my home is taken care of.
that's it.
I'm a single father, so my son needs 110% of my attention
Mm.
and everything. He needs all of me. So I gotta make sure that home is taken care of. I gotta make sure mom's is good. I gotta make sure my sister's straight. You know, like my little nephew, like everything.
Yeah.
That's what being a man is about, man. It's family. It's family. Being there, doing what you need to do for your family and those that are near and dear to your heart.
Man, one of the things you said was good for me. You said the word mentor in that word is men. I love that. I'm gonna use that one. I'll quote you on it. But I love that. I love that because as we think about shaping and molding the lives and the futures of these young men, it's going to take all of us to do just that. Man, your program is called the Ollie Life Youth Program, and it's there in the Nashville area. Tell us how we can connect with the program. There might be some parents watching in the area there who might want to connect with your program. How can we get in touch with you, connect with your program?
You can log on to the website, ollielifeyouthprogram.org. Um, you can you get a link to the email. It comes straight to to my account, and I see it, and we try to respond within 24 hours. To anybody that's definitely in need. Shout out to Dread, my co-founder. He does an amazing job. Like connecting and keeping in contact with everybody who hit the email up or call. The, we have a number as well, so you can call. So he stays on top of that. So shout out to him for that, man. But yeah, just hit the email up. Social media, Ollie Life Youth Program on Instagram, Facebook, Ollie Life, everything. So if you need, we're gonna provide for sure. We don't turn anybody away based off of anything financial. This is a program we're funded by grants and everything, so you don't have to worry about if there's a fee. We have apparel as well. That we sell, but to help fund with any event or things we have going on with the program. So please, please, please reach out. We can't save every kid, but we're gonna save enough. It only take one match to cause a forest fire. So if we can just light one kid's mind and get him right, and we always try to go to the ones that may be have the biggest issues, or
Yeah.
those that the ones who want to be the tough guys. Oh, he's tough. I don't know if you can handle it. No, he's a leader. He just doesn't know it yet. So
Yeah.
he's able to lead you and have you doing all this negative stuff. Why can't he lead you into some positive stuff? But we'll get to him. We just don't realize his leadership skills yet. Yeah. We'll pull it out of him.
I love it. Listen, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on. And as I do with all my guests, I'll let you have our final thought and our final word today. But before I do that, I want to remind everyone who's listening to this podcast, if you're a pastor, if you're a leader, if you're an influencer, we have our Pastor Plus camp coming up here on December 9th and the 10th. You can go to my website, cajohnson.org, for more information. Also, if you are a parent, a single mother who's watching, or if you're just a father who needs some extra help with your son or your boys, you can come to either one of these programs. If you're in the Nashville area, go to the Ollie Life Youth Program, or if you're in the Murfreesboro area, the Middle Tennessee area, I want to encourage you to go to my website, manmaker.org, for more information there. Here to give us our final thought, Ty, there's maybe a fella who's watching, a man who's watching, who maybe is not as involved in his kid's life. There might be a son who's watching, who's growing up without a father. In these final thoughts, these final words, what would you say to that young man, that young boy who might be watching right now as you close?
A few things. Only live life in excellence. Choose that, to live life in excellence. For sure. Each day you wake up, you ask God to allow you to be better than you were the day before, and choose love over hate, because hate is too heavy of a burden to carry.